with all due respect. With all due respect.
What's going on? This is the With All Due Respect podcast. I'm your main man Mo and my lovely co-host, Miss Lady Simone.
Yes.
How you doing today?
I'm good. Can't complain.
For all the listeners, I'm not sure if y'all know, or maybe throughout our conversation over the year and whatnot, that we're actually a family. Lady Simone is my wife, which makes me her husband. McFly is in fact my brother, which makes him Lady Simone's brother-in-law.
AKA my bro.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm recording right. Was that right?
Yeah, you good.
All right, my fault. All right, and we're going to keep all that in there. So what we do is we have a lot of conversation, especially when I come in from work. We'll typically stay up to like maybe 2 in the morning just having real conversations. And I really wish that y'all can hear some of those conversations that we be having. And this is actually what we're going to start doing. We're actually going to give y'all a bigger glimpse into our actual day-to-day reality, because we do this podcast thing, but this is really what we do on our day-to-day basis, even to the point where our kids, me and my kids, I drop my kids off every morning, and we have real conversation. They ask me life questions, and I give them the best possible answer, given off the experience that I have. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up from the conversation that me and my wife had last night to about 2 in the morning, and I had to get right back up at 6. But nonetheless, well, you had to get back up at 6 as well. So
I was up at 5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Here you go. So the conversation that we had last night is, what was it? Is it one regret? How did that go? What was it?
Yeah, okay.
Not the question I had, but the question that you actually said after. I'm gonna get to the point. I'm gonna get to the question that I said. But what was the question that you said? Something about making if there was one.
If there was one thing that you can actually go back in time and change. Right. You don't know how it will alter your life. You don't know, what would come after you change that. But if it was one thing that you could change, what would it have been?
One decision that you made that you could have changed.
Yes.
And I actually really sat down and thought about that for a few seconds. I was like, whoa. But the fact of the matter is, we can all pick out some dumb shit that we did at some point in time, right? To where we were like, I would like to have taken that back.
But I think one thing we got to keep in mind too, people, when you got to think beyond the question, you know what I mean? Because we can point out one thing, but then we got to think like, okay, now what is the possibility of other things happening if you change that? Because some people may say, you know what, I would change the fact that I won't go to college. Okay, but what happened during college that
molded you?
Exactly. And what person did you met in college? You know what I'm saying? That you may not would have met. You may not would have.
Trailblaze a certain direction that you are in right now.
Yes.
Because everything is actually put in place. Whether people understand, this is like one big play.
It's not a coincidence.
No, it's not. Life is like one big play, one big movie. And God, the universe, again, however you may acknowledge the higher power, is directing. We're all playing our part.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would actually say, of course, again, we can say, I wish I didn't do that. But that very decision that you made led you up to this point right here, right now.
Mm-hmm.
And when I actually was looking at my wife last night, talking to her again, Lady Simone, I was like, I wouldn't have changed anything. Because let's say one thing. If I got into a car accident January 1st, right? And if I would have drove another car, who's to say that I even would be here?
Would have survived it.
Would have survived it. So we can sit there and pick apart that all day long, but that, whether we look at it or not, that car accident is the reason. The way that car accident unfolded is the reason why I'm actually here to look her in her eye last night and have this conversation and this continuation of the conversation that we had last night.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, where you got to understand how I look at it, because when I asked the question, I didn't really think about it as much until after I said, I was like, yo, that's a deep question.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times everybody say, you know what, there's things that we regret in life, and yes, I don't care what nobody say, I'll change this, whatever, whoop de woo. Okay, so you're saying that you would change something, but in hindsight, you know what I'm saying? If you didn't meet that baby daddy, you would have never had those kids.
I think a better way to put it, they would change the feeling that it gave them versus the decision, the feeling or how they reacted.
Yes, that's a good
decision that they made, because I didn't like that feeling.
Yeah.
But that, again, these are necessary.
But even the feeling is necessary.
The feeling is, so therefore you don't want to actually revisit that feeling.
But then the thing is, you gotta understand. This just came to me. You think about it, right? you say, okay, they don't want to relive the feeling. But then it's just like having a baby. You know, some mothers say, you know what I'm saying, if I knew what I knew when I had XYZ, I would not have done it. But guess what? We go through so much labor pains and it hurts so bad, but we forget it once that baby is here. And what happens? That memory goes away. Mm-hmm. And then another one comes along.
The memory goes away because you look at the pain didn't go in vain. You birthed this thing.
But then even in the midst of pain, there's something that's being birthed. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. As long as you get on the other side of it. And that's hard. Yes. You know, I'm gonna tell you something. Now because
making a parallels to life, not giving birth to life.
Yes, because there's been a situation to where, for me personally, I'm just being transparent and being honest. The pain hurt so bad that I'm sitting there and I'm like, I legit want to punch the door. Like it's like I felt like the Hulk. Like, listen, and I have to scream out like, God, listen, I'm talking, and this is what you say. Ask and it shall be given. This right here, and those are the things that make a great person, a great story, and then it just ultimately, we can't take that for granted because those feelings that we have is going to remind us. So when we do get where we're about to go, because we're going
absolutely. These are different scenes in a movie. You can't delete this scene because it wouldn't make the movie what it is. Mm-hmm. Whether it's good or bad, you got to take it all in the same breath.
Yep.
Because when it's good, you're sitting there, woo.
Yep. You're excited.
It's all a learning curve. It's all learning as you. Only way you don't. I have the saying. There aren't any losses in life, only lessons. The only time it's considered a loss is when you didn't learn the lesson. And if you didn't learn the lesson, please believe that it's going to come right back to you. If you didn't realize what 2 + 2 is, you're going to see it in the form of what's 1 minus 5. I'm sorry, no, 5 minus 1. It's the same thing. So if you don't learn those lessons, and like I said, this is just one of those conversations that we had last night. But the initial question, and while we're doing this podcast right now, Lady Simone is scratching off like 35 scratch-offs. Literally, no exaggeration, 35 scratch-offs. So if y'all don't hear a podcast for the next 6 months, that means we done hit the lottery big. I just want to let y'all know that. But anyway, what actually prompted this whole question, this whole dialogue, like I said, we have these conversations every night. And like I said, it goes from us as a family, us and our 3 kids. It goes to me and my wife. It goes to me and my oldest son. It might go from my wife to our youngest son. It's just so many conversations that we have in this household, in this car. It's so lucrative to converse with one another because life is a challenge.
And I think it's important that we have these conversations and we talk because at the end of the day, these are things, people are going through real life stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And not only are you going through real life stuff, you feel like, okay, I'm alone. Like, I heard something, man. I listened to this dope guy on YouTube named Trinius. And like he said, man, the things people do behind closed doors. Nobody knows. The things I may do to you know what I'm saying, when I'm hurting, nobody know that. They only see the strong Lady Simone. You know what I'm saying? They don't see when, man, them tears won't stop. Or like I say, I want to punch the wall. I'm screaming out. I'm like, God, help me. They don't see those things. And this is what people need to realize and understand. You're not alone. You know what I'm saying? And I think we had this conversation too. I told you, I said a lot of the times we look at it and people commit suicide and go through so much, man. It's like, it's hard for them to cope. Mm-hmm. You know?
Everybody's not built for life. Everybody's not built for life. And the different things that's being put in place is not making it easier because people feel like they have a way out, a temporary way out, maybe alcohol, drugs, or whatever their vice is to get them through. And that could be a Band-Aid for the time being. But when that Band-Aid turns into a permanent application to cover up this wound, now we got an issue. Yep. You know what I'm saying? So back to the point of my initial question that I actually presented, Lady Simone. I actually presented it to 2 of my co-workers, Miss Destiny Mays and my man Terrence Gilchrist. Forgive me, Terrence, if I mispronunciated your last name. But the question came from, I was watching the last few interviews Gucci Mane did. It was with Ebro, and then he did one with Charlamagne because he's allegedly banned from the Breakfast Club for comments towards Angela Yee. And I was just like, wow. So when you look at the old Gucci and then you look at the new Gucci, it's like it's 2 different people. It's almost like 2 brothers. One took one life, one took the other road to life. Mm-hmm. So I was like, wow, what would that Gucci of young ask the Gucci of old, and what would the Gucci of old tell the Gucci of young? So what I did was I presented a question to the two people that was working next to me. Again, Miss Destiny and Mr. Terrence. I said, Terrence, let me ask you a question. How old are you? Terrence said he's 22. I said, okay.
Young.
Yes, but he's a great kid. I promise you. No disrespect by calling him a kid.
Oh, no. I'm just saying he's young.
Great kid. Great, ambitious. And so is Destiny. She's 20.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to actually switch up the question for her a little bit because I couldn't ask her the initial question that I asked Terrence. But the question I asked Terrence, I said, Terrence, not as if they're that far apart, neither. I said, Terrence, what would, given 10 years, what would the 32-year-old, what do you think the 32-year-old version would say to the 22-year-old version of yourself? No, I'm sorry. What would a 22-year-old version ask the 32-year-old version of yourself? And what would the 22-year-old version of yourself tell the 12-year-old version of yourself? He said, man, that's a hard question right there. That's a really good question. So as he was sitting down marinating on that, I went to Destiny. And of course, Destiny would have been 10. So I said, okay, Destiny, let's go back. You're 20. So what would the 15-year-old, what would the 15-year-old Destiny, I'm sorry, what would the 20-year-old Destiny tell the 15-year-old Destiny? And what would the 20-year-old Destiny ask the 25-year version of Destiny? And she was kind of stumbled on it. So, of course, I asked the same question to my wife when I got home because it's a really good question. So before I asked her, I actually shared mine. With me being 39, what I would tell what I would tell my then self 29 is get ready, strap up your boots, buckle in because it's about to be a bumpy ride.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, make sure that you are aware of the lessons that need to be learned. And learning is the easy thing, youngin. What you need to do now is apply. Because again, like I said earlier, if you do not figure out what 2 plus 2 is, you will see it in another form, maybe 3 plus 1. Yeah. So get ready and be mindful. And actually, I will say, like I tell our kids, we have 2 ears, 2 eyes, and 1 mouth. Listen, look twice as much as you speak.
Yep.
That's the advice that the 39-year-old would give the 29-year-old version of me. Now, what would the 39-year-old version of me ask the 49-year-old version? First question I would say, is it all worth it? Was it all worth it? The highs, the lows, the nights when you didn't know what tomorrow was going to hold, the decisions that you made that led up to this, no matter how it affected people, just the different elbows that you rubbed, just the different things that you did to get to this point, that the people that you lost, that you try to hold on to, but maybe they weren't meant to go on with this, right? Was all of that worth it? Those are the questions that I would ask my younger self and my old. That's the advice I would give my younger self, and that's the question I would ask my older self. So, Lady Simone, if you would pick up from last night, because of course you gave me your answer, but allow people to hear what you actually shared.
Honestly,
and hold on, real quick, did you win anything yet? You halfway through these scratch offs. You got mad dust over here now. All right, so go ahead.
So, if honestly, to ask my I would tell my young self, like, listen, things, it ain't all peaches and cream out here. You know what I'm saying? And I would make sure
if you would give them a little backstory of why you say it ain't all peaches and cream.
Because when I grew up, to be honest, when I grew up, my first job was straight out of college. I didn't have to work all throughout high school, no nothing. So I didn't know anything about paying bills. I didn't know anything about a bill being late or what you have to do, how to, take care of things. I didn't know that. So I would definitely tell myself, like, you gotta adjust, and it's okay. Cause you know how they say you got some people who street smart, some people who book smart. I won't say that I got a lot of common sense. You know what I'm saying? I could figure some stuff out. I always tell people I look from what somebody else went through and know not to make those same mistakes. But at the end of the day, there was a lot of things I didn't know. I was willy-nilly out here. Like, going to college, I was naive. The only thing I knew to do, was go get my schoolwork, and that was it. When bills start coming along and, I didn't know. I thought I could just buy what I want to buy, get on about my life, and that was that. So I would definitely, that's something that I would prepare myself and tell myself. And then, not necessarily change anything that happened, because that's what makes me who I am.
Back to the initial point, the initial topic, the initial start of this podcast.
Yeah, I needed that. You know, and the beautiful thing is how I look at it, because a lot of people will be like, oh my goodness, like, yo, you done up in age, you know, a little older. Honestly, I would rather learn what I learned then than to learn it now at the age that I am now. You know what I'm saying?
You can make the corrections.
Yeah, I got and I don't want anybody to think, even if they're like beyond my age, that you don't have time, because to be honest, as long as you wake up every day, got breath in your body, you got a chance. And you know, another thing I would tell myself is, man, don't get so emotionally attached, you know what I'm saying, to situations and to people that means nothing to you, you know, and you can't connect to everybody. That was a big thing for me, you know, and man, I guess my young self would tell my old self, get ready.
No, young self. What would your now? You answer what would the young what?
No, my old self would tell my young self what I just said. My young self would tell my older self now, get ready.
Okay, so what would you ask yourself 10 years? What would
10 years from now? What would I ask myself?
That version of you.
Oh my goodness, man! Am I still saying it's awesome and smiling, baby? And I mean, because honestly, no matter what hell it is that I go through, I still have to smile and you know, and just see it through when you don't want to. You know what I mean? So I think, man, I think I asked myself, man, like, how did it feel just getting to the top? Because you there. You there. You gonna get there. You're there. How does it feel, girl?
The table is prepared for you. You already sat at that table, older Courtney, older Lady Simone. How does it feel sitting there? As a matter of fact, who is sitting at that table with me? Which is a good question right there to ask the older self as well.
Yeah, and man, it's so good to kind of reflect and ask ourselves these questions. But not only that, you know, when you're going through a season, because it's all just a season. I always say, you know, this too shall pass. You know, I sit there and I talk to a lot of people, and not in the midst of me going through what I go through, people going through some stuff, I'm trying to help them out some stuff. You know what I mean? But like I tell them, this too shall pass. You got to really understand to have that mentality and to think that. It's hard sometimes, but guess what? At the end of the day,
the next day is going to come regardless.
It's going to come regardless. And like I told you, any way the cookie crumbles, I'm good with it. I don't care. Anybody can say, they can look at me and say, you know what? This girl had it all. She lost it all. She had this. She this right here. Any way the cookie crumbles, Lady Simone will be Lady Simone. I'm going to still smile. I'm going to still uplift you. Let me tell you something. Because at the end of the day, my happiness does not come through all this materialistic stuff and all this right here. You know what I mean? As long as I got health and strength, guess what? I got the ability to pick myself back up and keep going. I got a creative mind. That's something that a lot of people don't have. You know what I'm saying? I could be in a hard season, but I got a creative mind.
You know what? I actually was listening to Eric Thomas the other day, and Eric Thomas said, broke people wake up chasing money. People who actually got it, they're getting up in the morning creating ways.
Creating ways, man.
Versus just chasing the money.
Yeah, and that's like I listened to something a little whiles ago, man, and the guy was just like, he said, yeah, I used to always think, man, these rich people, they got money, man, they negative, they like money root all evil. This right here, it's all about how you look at money. You know what I'm saying? These people done invested in a certain way, like I say, the creative mind. They done figured out a way to where they making passive income and making money work for them.
Instead of them getting up going to work. Understanding it's a process.
It's a process, yes. and that's where I'm going to be. You know what I mean?
Financial literacy comes into play.
That's where, you know what I'm saying? So people really feel like it's like I say, it's more than one way to actually, you know, make some money, and it ain't always just sitting there like they tell us. You go to work and you gotta work so hard, and oh my God, you breaking your back. You know? Like one thing I would say too, man, I spoke with a young lady, and she said she got a new home. And man, I respect her so much, because I remember when she was talking about it and everything. And she said, you know what? I ain't about to work all this time and work so hard and not appreciate what I got. And a lot of times we miss out on that. You get the house, but you don't work in 10 jobs trying to, you know what I'm saying? And you don't even get to appreciate and just live in the house. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that right there to me, man, there's a lot of things we can look back on and want to change, but I think ultimately it's so nice to have these conversations. But at the end of the day, you look back, you had these conversations, but you got to ask yourself, what am I going to do now to change my now? It's never too late. Like I say, once you got breath in your body, it's never too late. What can I do now? Stop thinking about how you're going to get something and start thinking about how you can create something.
I agree. And if you can't come up with that right there, get with somebody that you know is creative and y'all come up with something together.
And understand. Oh, go ahead.
Find your place within that team. And that's all I'm going to say. You go ahead.
But understand, too, at the end of the day, who's going to be there is going to be there for you. Not everybody is going to be there who you want to be there, who you expect to be there.
And don't
take it
personal.
serious. If they can't do it, they can't do it. I don't feel no kind of way. They weren't meant to be right there at that time to help you with that. Stop holding on and stuff like that. You emotionally connected to something that ain't even supposed to be connected to. You're supposed to have walked by that person, because when you walk by that person, the next person in line to help you.
But instead, like Mr. Pastor Keon said, you stop right there to that person instead of walking.
Stop right there. You right there, because the only thing you can see is, oh, this person got it, and I know they got it, so I expect them to give something to me. Expectancy.
And when they don't,
you in your feelings.
All in your feelings.
You in your feelings, and now you in
like Drake on repeat, all in your feelings.
You in the same situation you're gonna be in, and you gotta understand, God got people lined up already for you. You just ain't walk towards them yet. You just ain't in that zone because you stopped. You stopped at what you thought
was the person, was the plug, was the person that was going to take you to the next level. And that person was just someone you're just supposed to acknowledge, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
And keep it moving.
Yep.
But then you're in your feelings when you get disappointed.
Absolutely.
So we're not going to get long-winded on this podcast, man. But I definitely want to say thank you to a couple individuals that actually poured into me. Mr. Lawrence Darden. Lawrence Darden. We worked together, man. He actually came up to me and told me that the things that I'm doing on social media, the things that we're doing on social media is so necessary. And every time that he sees something that I post where it causes for me to speak, he's clicking on it. So when he said that to me, I really needed to hear it at that point in time. So I like to say thank you, Mr. Lawrence. I really appreciate that. The second person I'd like to acknowledge and thank is Mr. Antonio McClinlock. Me and Tony was on the phone for Sunday, about an hour? And man, Tony was on one. If y'all know Tony don't really talk too much. But Tony, y'all know I talk a lot. But I was literally on the phone, not saying anything, just listening. And Tony was just constantly pouring into me because he had such a great weekend, great inspiring weekend. And man, I just wanted to tell Tony, thank you. Him and Mr. Lawrence, thank you. I really appreciate that right there. Because like I said, it came at a time that it was very needed and necessary. So this is the end of the With All Due Respect podcast for this episode. I'd like to thank y'all for listening. And thank you, Lady Simone, for scratching off 28 tickets now, and we haven't hit anything yet. So the way it's looking, ladies and gentlemen, we will be back later on this week with another podcast. So please. That's
what he says. So I'm
I hope we get it. But y'all check out Mr. Quinton Greer of 19 Below Zero and Pretty Above All, and myself. We teamed together to release a weekly playlist that's doing really well. And also, I like to congratulate Quinton, man, on his resilience as far as putting out, being an independent clothing designer, man. He really dropped a lot of his pieces are fire, but he really dropped something that was legendary, which was this solid sweater that he just dropped Saturday.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I think on the 19th. Saturday, the 19th. So I like to say congratulations to my brother right there, man. You're doing good.
Very nice. And if y'all can support, man, please. And one thing I want to put out there too, and not to be long-winded on this because I talk to a lot of people about this as well. If you can support somebody, you support somebody. You know what I'm saying? Support comes in so many different ways. You can shout them out. You can like a picture. You can say, yo, I see what you're doing. You show support in so many different ways. But when somebody don't buy your product, stop sitting there and thinking they ain't supporting you. They can be supporting you by telling somebody else about your product, because they may not have it, or they may not even like it, and that's okay, because everything ain't for everybody. Mm-hmm. But they may know somebody who may rock with you and say, you know what, hey, go right here, get this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So we got man, look out for each other. Look out for each other. At the end of the day, that's what all that matters, man. Look out for each other.
But I want to say I'm real proud of my brother Quinton Greer, man. You keep going, man. Keep going. But check out our weekly playlist, man. Check out our Motivational 3. It's myself with your Mo's Monday Moment. You got our friend Lloyd Hill with his Wednesday Wow. And you got Fresh Fridays with yours truly, Lady Simone.
Wednesday Wow. Be easy.
Yeah, be easy. Wednesday Wow. Shout out to my man Lloyd. So y'all check us out on that. Also, we have a new cartoon venture. We partner with Mr. Aaron Kid Donaldson with the Kid and Mo Show. It's an animated short series, man. Y'all check that out. The first one did really, really, really well. I'd like to say thank you to everyone that actually viewed it, shared it, commented. And we just wrapped up another episode yesterday, so y'all should be looking for that this coming Saturday at 10 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, as well as YouTube. So I'm gonna make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Are we forgetting anything?
Nah, that sounds good.
All right, well, this is the end of our podcast, man. We really appreciate y'all, man. My name is Mo, one half of the duo, and that is Lady Simone. So you let me get my taglines, like I get my drops in. I am your man, Mr. I woke up this morning. You know what I'm saying? So y'all check us out. Appreciate the love. Like, comment, subscribe on our YouTube channel. And I promise you we'll keep giving y'all this type of content. All right? Till next time. Be easy. Word of the Lord.
Easy.
Peace.